Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. We are already back with another episode. So today, well, technically like 5 months ago now, we are building a little gravel processing plant, I guess. I'm not sure what you would actually call it. It's just one simple unloading track just off the main line. This plant is going to be located just a few miles away from the Temple Railyard we kind of worked on, but not really in the last episode. When I first built this area, it was just going to be kind of a short line route that would go as far as Fort Hood, which is another 5 or so miles down the line, and stop there. But the route keeps growing and growing, and I keep needing industries and other places for the trains to go. So I've turned this into a much bigger line that will end up going to a seaport. But anyways, in this world, this plant is going to receive gravel with sand, I guess, from a quarry that's located elsewhere on the map. So like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a simple industry with not too much going on visually, but I think we do a good job of capturing the details and making it look interesting enough so it's actually a pretty nice looking scene. But with every build I do, it starts rather slow as I try to get my bearings and try to figure out the main building assets I'm going to use, as well as the main paint details. But once we get going, we get going. So I recently checked on Google Maps to see what those gravel stalls, or whatever they're called, are supposed to look like. And it looks a lot like how I'm building it on camera here. But back then I wasn't really good at changing heights of multiple splines, and it really wasn't looking that great with the spline assets I was using. So I decided to go with like a C shape instead. Plus this would allow access for like a front end loader or something to move the piles around. And as you can see here, I'm still trying to make that circular shape like the original idea. But this wasn't coming out right, so I ended up scrapping it. Keeping it nice and simple, still semi-believable, still kind of resembles the original thing, so I think I like that. And here I am trying to find anything that's industrial, piping, anything that's rusty, looks like it belongs in a factory. Just as much as I could find, as much as I can think of. The problem is I don't really know what this stuff is called or what its functions are. But anything that fits like it might go with this kind of building. What I do here is just gather a bunch of random items and then try to find places for them as we go along. It's funny, when all is said and done, like this build also does very much resemble the real thing. So if you just suspend your disbelief a little bit, it kind of looks like this in real life. And now I'm throwing down my base coat that's gonna cover all the ground in this area. And then I'll mix in some other colors as I go along to help dirty it up and break up those patterns. But I really love that grass, that city grass paint. All right, here I am working on the embankment for the track. And what I do is I'm gonna fix the height of all the track splines, so when I dig under the track, it doesn't bring the track down as well. And even though this video is rather old now, I really don't have a standardized way of making these embankments yet, unfortunately. What I do now is basically what you see on screen. I fix the height of the track, cut the ground at a certain height, and then I fill the ground under the track at a certain radius, and then smooth everything out because usually the game makes those embankments very rigid. I don't have the numbers I use memorized, nor do I know if it's the best way. But until then, this is what I do. And we're just gonna bury the tracks a bit, make it look old. Make it look lived in and worn down. I really love this effect. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm building something like this, from nothing to something, it always feels so incomplete to me, and I struggle to bring it to life until I start adding that vegetation, and even if it's just a simple grass spline like here. But until that point, like, it just feels so empty and no life to it. And now we're gonna smooth out those edges and make it seem a lot more natural. Once again, just adding as much visual noise as I can, scrap, junk, debris. I even add a lot more off camera, and even after the outro montage, there's even more details that I didn't put in this video. A great way to make boring things look not so boring is to combine two things that don't go together, and helps things make just a little bit more interesting. I love this paint, so anytime I get a chance or an excuse to use it, I throw it down. It probably doesn't even belong here technically, but I don't know, I just really like using that paint. And finally, we're starting to add some vegetation in it, and this is what really brings this area to life for me. That's where I started to finally get the groove and figure it out once these trees and shrubbery kind of come in. And you'll see me do this a lot when my new current building techniques is I gather up a palette that I already have and I just copy and paste it and move things around just a little bit, copy and paste different lengths of items, and just keep copy and pasting and tweaking things as I go, and maybe adding some other bushes here and there. But I really feel like it's a good way to keep the continuity as these different scenes are so far apart, but we're keeping the shrubbery and the assets kind of the same for the most part. So it kind of feels like it's all one big world. It's wild looking back at all these old clips now, and there's so much more that's been done to the route that you can't see in the background of these clips, but in the modern route, it's some of those scenes are a lot more filled in. So it's crazy to see back in time and how this all looked before it was filled in. It's one of the perks of kind of documenting the growing of this route. We can all see it evolve and grow. And now working on what I personally struggle with the most, and that's closing out scenes. I am horrible at making scenes go wide. There's just so much that goes into detailing around the tracks that it gets so tiring and tedious to go wide. There's so much to do. But I try. I'm trying to expand my scenes further out and still keep that detail as well, because I want this to be a nice, aesthetically pleasing, detailed route with lots of things to do and lots of distance to cover. I have no problem leaving lots of areas blank in between scenes, because when I get to them, I want them to still have plenty of detail and put thought and attention into them. Even if it's just a transitionary portion from one area to the next, I want it to have thought and care in everything that I do, which requires a lot of work and energy. So these things take a long time. I want to start looking into the clutter and turf effects stuff more, because these grass lines, they look really good in my opinion from only a certain angle based on where the sun is, and I feel like using turf effects and the clutter stuff might be an improvement in the long run, but I just don't really know too much about it and how to use it. I mean, I have it throughout the route in areas, but making grasses different colors and types of grass and shrubbery and debris and stuff, I don't really know how to do that yet, so I'm kind of waiting until I have the proper motivation and energy to tackle learning something new like that. But until then, for all my grass, I'm using those grass lines that are both really good and really, really bad. So I am using this dark grass because I was trying to change things up and, kind of grow my palette, so to speak, as this route gets bigger and bigger. But after looking at Google Maps more, today in particular, this is old when I built this, the grass looks a lot more like the original grass. So off camera, after I made this video, I actually switched that grass color back and then kind of spiced it up a bit with mixing some colors in there. So here I'm trying to make an exit lane for the main road, but it does not look good at all. I ended up cutting it out and leaving it as a T intersection, but I'm debating if I should make it a handmade road or leave it as a road spline. But anyways, that's all for this time lapse. A good chunk of the background scenery fill-in was done off camera, so I hope you enjoyed this quick montage, and I'll see you guys in the next one.